Hello and welcome to our squeeze class. Today we're going to learn about transformations and even and odd functions. Now in this situation, if we have y or f of x equals x squared and I have a negative f of x, what this does is it flips it over the x-axis. So the function will look something like this. So if that occurs, what changes? The domain, the range, both, or neither? Well, the domain is going to stay exactly the same, so it's not the domain. But the range, instead of going from 0 to infinity, now it's from negative infinity to 0. So the range is going to change. Now if we take this function, square root of x, this would move it to the left 6, and this would move it up 3. So if I go to the left 6, up 3, and now I make the graph. Let's see how that domain and range match the original. So this is f of x. This is our new function, f of x plus 6 plus 3. Now the domain changes because instead of going from 0 to infinity, it goes from negative 6 to infinity. And the range changes because instead of going 0 to infinity, it's going 3 to infinity. So that is both. Now if we take 10 to the x, which is a function that looks like this, if we move it to the right 2, it's just going to, I'll do this in a different color, it's just going to look something more like that. So that's not going to change the domain or the range. Alright, now here we're going to move this piecewise function. This one translates up 2, so each coordinate I'm just going to move up 2 points. This one moves to the left 2. Now this one reflects over the x-axis. So we just take the point and it's 2 down, so we'll go 2 up, and now we just connect the points. And this one's going to reflect over the y-axis. So instead of being 2 to the right, we go 2 to the left. Instead of being 1 to the left, we go 1 to the right. Oops. And then instead of being 4 to the left, we go 4 to the right. All right. Now this is a vertical stretch, where this is a horizontal shrink. Now, a lot of people have a hard time telling the difference between the two, but if you do it on a piecewise function, I think it's pretty clear what happens. On a vertical stretch, we multiply all of the y values by this factor, in this case 2. So this y value is 0, 0 times 2 is 0. This y value is 3, 3 times 2 is 6. Here, negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. So when I connect these, you can see this stretches vertically. Now a horizontal shrink by a factor of 2, we take each x out value and divide by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. Negative 1 divided by 2 is negative 1/2. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. And there you go. Now on this one, we have, we're going to move it up 1, flip over x, and then stretch by 2. So first let's stretch it by a factor of 2. This one would be up here, here, and here. Now, I'm going to use a blue dot to flip it over. So instead of being up here, it's going to be, instead of being up 6, it's going to be down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one stays where it's at. And now my green dot, I'll move each of these up 1. So my red dots were just stretching by a factor of 2. Then my blue dots are what happens if I flip it over the x. And then finally I move it up 1. So now I'll connect my green dots and have my new function. This next one, we shrink by a factor of 4 and flip it over the x-axis. So if I shrink by a factor of 4, 2 divided by 4 is a half. 1 divided by 4 is 1/4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Now I flip those over the x-axis, and now in red, I will have my points. So now I can connect them, and this is my new function.